You have been through everything: the silence, the running, the inconsistency, the emotional unavailability, the years of holding space while he figured himself out, the patience, the understanding, the spiritual bypassing that told you his withdrawal was part of the divine plan. You endured it all. You survived it all. And now, just when you think the journey is finally moving toward resolution, you are being asked to face one more test, the final one. And this test is different. This test does not ask you to be more patient. It does not ask you to hold more space. It does not ask you to love harder, or vibrate higher, or become more spiritually evolved. This test asks you to do something that feels almost cruel in its precision. It asks you to hold a boundary so firm, so unwavering, so absolute, that if he is not ready, if he has not done the actual work, he will not be able to cross it. And the consequences of that, the punishment he experiences, will not come from you. It will come from reality itself, finally catching up to his choices. From a psychological and spiritual perspective, the final test of the divine feminine is not about her proving anything. It is about her embodying something. Self-respect so complete that it no longer negotiates. Boundaries so clear that they function as energetic law. A level of inner sovereignty that makes it impossible for dysfunction to enter her field, no matter how much soul recognition exists beneath it. And when she passes this test, when she stands in that level of integrity, the divine masculine, who is not ready, does not just lose access to her. He loses access to the version of himself he could have become through union with her. That loss, that confrontation with his own failure to rise, that is the punishment, not inflicted by her, revealed by his own patterns. I am going to walk you through what this final test actually is, why it exists, and what happens when the divine feminine embodies it so fully that the masculine either rises to meet her or is left standing outside a door that will not open again, not because she is being cruel, but because her nervous system, her soul, and her life have finally become unavailable to anything less than full presence, demonstrated capacity, and structural readiness. Section 1. What the final test actually measures. The final test of the divine feminine is not emotional. It is not about whether she still loves him, or whether she can forgive, or whether she believes in the connection. All of those questions have already been answered. She loves him. She has forgiven him. She knows the connection is real. The final test measures something much more foundational. It measures whether she can remain in integrity with herself, even when remaining in integrity means the connection cannot proceed. From a psychological perspective, this is the moment where her attachment system is no longer driving her choices. Her decisions are no longer fear-based. She is not staying because she is afraid of being alone. She is not leaving to punish him. She is simply requiring that any connection she participates in meets a specific standard. Consistency, emotional availability, demonstrated change, structural capacity for partnership. And if he cannot meet that standard, if he shows up with the same patterns, the same avoidance, the same lack of accountability, the same inability to regulate his nervous system enough to stay present, she does not bend. She does not make exceptions. She does not spiritualize his limitations to make them acceptable. She just holds the boundary, and the boundary is simple. You cannot enter here unless you are ready. Not almost ready. Not working on being ready. Actually ready. This is not cruelty. This is discernment. This is her finally understanding that protecting the connection is not the same as protecting herself. That honoring soul recognition does not mean tolerating relational dysfunction. That loving someone deeply does not obligate her to accept less than what her nervous system needs to feel safe. The test measures whether she has integrated this truth at a cellular level, not intellectually, not spiritually, somatically. Can her body hold the boundary even when her heart wants to soften it? Can her nervous system stay regulated even when his presence activates the old pull? Can she remain anchored in her own truth even when he is standing in front of her, asking for another chance? If the answer is yes, she passes the test, and passing the test does not mean she gets the relationship. It means she keeps herself, and keeping herself is the only thing that makes real relationship possible. Section 2. Why this test feels like punishment to the masculine. When the divine feminine finally embodies this level of boundary, when she becomes truly unavailable to dysfunction, the divine masculine experiences it as punishment, not because she is doing anything to him, but because, for the first time, his patterns have real consequences that he cannot avoid, minimize, or delay. For all the time she was chasing, hoping, waiting, he had cushioning. Her patience absorbed the impact of his inconsistency. Her understanding made his avoidance comfortable. Her spiritual framing of his behavior protected him from having to face what his choices were actually creating. He could run, and she would still be there when he came back. He could be emotionally unavailable, and she would make space for it. He could show up halfway, and she would accept it as progress. But when she stops doing that, when she withdraws all emotional buffering, he is left holding the full weight of his patterns. And that weight is crushing, because now he sees clearly what he was not willing to see before. That his avoidance cost him something real. That his inability to choose created actual loss. That the connection he took for granted is no longer accessible. And this realization does not come gently. It comes as grief, as regret, as the sharp awareness that he had something irreplaceable and he let it go. Not because she was not enough, but because he was not ready. And no amount of soul recognition, no amount of spiritual significance, no amount of knowing she was his person, none of that overrode his failure to do the internal work required to actually be with her. From a psychological perspective, this is the moment his avoidant attachment finally meets consequence. Avoidant patterns are maintained through a specific dynamic. The avoidant person creates distance, and the anxious person pursues. This allows the avoidant to regulate their nervous system through withdrawal without ever having to face the cost of that withdrawal, because the anxious person is always there to repair the rupture. But when the anxious person stops pursuing, when the divine feminine stops chasing, the avoidant masculine loses his regulation strategy. He can no longer create distance and return to find everything intact. Now distance creates permanent separation. And that shift, that loss of the safety net, he did not even know he was relying on. It destabilizes him completely. He feels punished, but the punishment is not coming from her anger or her rejection or her need to make him suffer. The punishment is coming from reality, from the natural consequence of his choices finally arriving without her absorbing them for him. Section 3. The energetic recalibration that makes return impossible. From a spiritual and energetic perspective, when the divine feminine passes the final test, something shifts in the field between them that cannot be undone. The connection does not disappear. The recognition does not fade, but the access point closes. And it closes not because she decides to close it. It closes because her frequency has shifted to a level that his unhealed frequency can no longer reach. This is not symbolic. This is energetic physics. Consciousness exists at different densities. When someone is living in fear, avoidance, fragmentation, they are operating at a lower density. When someone is living in sovereignty, integrity, groundedness, they are operating at a higher density. And these densities do not naturally mix. For all the time, she was still holding hope, still waiting, still available to his pattern. Her frequency was accessible to him. There was resonance. There was a bridge. But when she fully embodies her queenship, when her nervous system stabilizes, when her identity is no longer negotiable, her frequency rises, and his, if he has not done the work, stays where it is. And now there is a gap, an energetic gap. He can feel her, he can sense her, he can know she is there, but he cannot reach her, because reaching her would require him to rise to her frequency, and rising to her frequency would require him to do the exact work he has been avoiding: process the trauma, regulate the nervous system, develop emotional maturity, build capacity for sustained intimacy. This is why the final test functions as a filter. It is not designed to keep him out. It is designed to ensure that only the version of him that has done the work can enter. And if that version does not exist yet, if he is still operating from his wounds, from his patterns, from his avoidance, the door remains closed. Not locked, just closed. He has the key. The key is his own transformation, but he has to use it. She cannot use it for him. And this is where the punishment intensifies for him, because he can see what he is losing. He can feel what is slipping away, but he cannot access it without becoming someone he is not yet willing to become. And that gap, that space between where he is and where he would need to be, it creates a specific kind of suffering. The suffering of knowing you had a chance and you were not ready for it. Section 4. Why her holding the boundary is not cruelty, it is necessity. Many divine feminines, when they reach this final test, struggle with a question. Am I being too harsh? Am I punishing him? Should I give him one more chance? And this question comes from a place of compassion, which is beautiful, but it is also a trap, because giving him one more chance when he has not demonstrated actual change is not compassion. It is self-abandonment. It is you overriding your nervous system's need for safety to accommodate his timeline for readiness. And that override, that sacrifice of your own needs, it does not serve the connection. It degrades it. From a psychological perspective, boundaries are not punitive. They are protective. They exist to keep your nervous system regulated, to maintain your integrity, to ensure that the relationships you participate in support your well-being rather than destabilize it. And when you enforce a boundary, when you say, "This behavior is not acceptable and I will not engage with it," you are not punishing the other person. You are protecting yourself. And protection is not optional when it comes to nervous system health. Your body needs to know it is safe. It needs to know that you will not keep placing it in environments that dysregulate it. It needs to know that you are trustworthy as your own protector. And every time you soften a boundary to give him another chance, when nothing has changed, you teach your nervous system that you are not trustworthy, that you will sacrifice its safety for the possibility of connection. And a nervous system that does not trust you cannot regulate. And a nervous system that cannot regulate cannot sustain intimacy. So by holding the boundary, by refusing to let him in until he is ready, you are not blocking union. You are protecting the only foundation that makes union possible, your own internal stability. From a spiritual perspective, the boundary is also necessary because it holds him accountable to his own soul contract. He came here to evolve, to heal, to become capable of mature love. And as long as you keep making his immaturity comfortable, as long as you keep absorbing the consequences of his avoidance, you are interfering with his growth. You are enabling his stagnation. But when you hold the boundary, when you require him to meet you at a certain level, you are actually serving his evolution. You are creating the pressure that forces transformation. You are refusing to participate in dynamics that keep him small. And that refusal, while it feels like punishment to him, is actually the greatest gift you can give him. The gift of consequence, the gift of reality, the gift of a standard he has to rise to, instead of a comfort zone he can hide in. Section 5. What happens when he cannot rise? Now here is the part that is hardest to accept. When the divine feminine holds this final boundary, when she embodies this level of integrity, the divine masculine does not always rise to meet her. Sometimes he cannot. Sometimes the gap between where he is and where he would need to be is too wide. Sometimes the work required is more than he is willing to do. Sometimes he chooses his comfort over his growth, his patterns over his potential. And when that happens, when he stands at the threshold and realizes he cannot cross it, the punishment he experiences is not her rejection. It is his own regret. It is the awareness that he had access to something extraordinary, and he was not capable of receiving it, that he met his match, his mirror, his counterpart, and he could not rise to the occasion. This regret does not arrive immediately. At first, there might be anger, blame. He might tell himself she was too demanding, too rigid, too unwilling to meet him where he was. He might frame her boundary as the problem instead of his lack of readiness. This is ego protection. This is his system trying to avoid the pain of facing his own limitations. But eventually, if he has any capacity for self-reflection, the truth settles in. And the truth is that she was not the problem. She was the standard, and he could not meet it. Not because she made it impossible, but because he had not done the work to make it possible. And this realization, this acceptance of his own failure to rise, it is a reckoning. It forces him to look at himself honestly, to see the patterns he has been running, to acknowledge the wounds he has been avoiding, to face the fact that his fear of intimacy, his attachment to control, his inability to be vulnerable, these things cost him the one connection that mattered most. Some men, when they reach this reckoning, finally do the work. They go to therapy. They process their trauma. They learn to regulate their nervous system. They build the capacity they were missing. And sometimes, after that work is done, after they have genuinely transformed, the door opens again, not because she was waiting, but because the frequency gap has closed, because he finally rose to where she is. But some men do not do the work. They carry the regret. They carry the loss. They move through life knowing they had a chance, and they were not ready. And that knowing, that permanent awareness of what could have been, that is the punishment, not inflicted by her, but created by his own choices. Section 6. Why this is not the feminine's responsibility to fix. I need you to hear this clearly. If the divine masculine cannot rise to meet you, if he cannot cross the threshold you have set, that is not your failure. It is not your job to lower the standard. It is not your responsibility to make it easier for him. It is not your role to do his healing work for him or to keep giving him chances until he finally gets it right. Your responsibility is to yourself, to your nervous system, to your integrity, to the life you are building. And if maintaining that responsibility means he does not get access, that is the correct outcome. Not because you do not love him, but because love without capacity is not sustainable. And sustainability is what you need now. Not intensity, not recognition, not soul-deep connection that cannot translate into actual partnership. From a psychological perspective, you cannot make someone ready. Readiness is internal. It is built through repeated choices to face discomfort instead of avoiding it, to process pain instead of numbing it, to take accountability instead of deflecting it. And those choices are his to make, not yours. You can hold space, you can offer support, you can believe in his potential, but you cannot do the work for him, and you cannot sacrifice your own stability while waiting for him to decide he is ready to do it. From a spiritual perspective, his journey is his journey. You are not his savior. You are not his mother. You are not responsible for his awakening. You are his mirror. You are his match. And your job is to reflect back to him what is possible when two whole people come together. But you cannot make him whole. He has to do that himself. And if he chooses not to, if he chooses to stay in his patterns, that is his soul contract playing out, not yours. Your soul contract is to choose yourself, to honor your truth, to build a life that does not require someone else's transformation to feel complete. Section 7. The final test is not about him, it is about you. Here is the deepest truth about the final test. It is not actually testing him. It is testing you. It is asking whether you have finally integrated the lesson this entire journey has been trying to teach you. That your worth is not determined by whether someone chooses you. That your wholeness does not depend on union. That your life is not on hold, waiting for someone else to become ready. The final test asks if you can hold your boundary, even when holding it means losing the connection. If you can choose yourself, even when choosing yourself means walking away from soul recognition. If you can prioritize your peace over the possibility of reunion. And if you pass this test, what you discover is profound. You do not need him. You never did. What you needed was to become the person who could hold this level of love without losing herself. And you have become that person. And that becoming is the entire point. The twin flame journey was never about getting him. It was about getting you, the version of you that knows her worth, that enforces her boundaries, that will not settle for less than she deserves, that can love deeply without abandoning herself. And that version of you, she does not need the twin flame to choose her to feel complete. She is already complete. And from that completeness, if he rises, if he does the work, if he becomes capable, then yes, union becomes possible. But if he does not, she is still whole. She is still sovereign. She is still building a life that honors her truth. That is the final test. And when you pass it, you realize the punishment he experiences is not your concern. Your concern is living in integrity. And integrity always leads you home. To him, if he is ready. To yourself, if he is not. Either way, you are free. Here is your integration task. Stop softening your boundaries to make space for his unreadiness. Stop negotiating your standards to keep the possibility alive. Stop abandoning yourself to prove your love is unconditional. Just hold the line, quietly, firmly, without explanation or apology. And watch what happens, not to control his response, but to see clearly whether he can meet you or whether you have been investing in someone who was never going to be capable of receiving you. If this message resonated, leave a comment with this affirmation. I hold my boundaries as sacred, and I do not abandon myself for potential. And if you know another divine feminine who is facing this final test, who needs permission to hold the line, share this video with her, because the most loving thing you can do is help someone see that holding the boundary is not punishment, it is protection. And protection of self is the only foundation real union can be built on. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and watch the next video, because what comes after you hold this final boundary is where everything shifts. It is where you discover that your power was never in being chosen. It was in becoming unchosen by anything that does not honor you. And that shift changes everything.